Yo, what's good with it, y'all? It's your boy Lamborghini Preem, back once again talking this boxing shit. And as always, make sure you hit up my official site, hustlegameboss.com, and check out my latest release, It's My Turn, the Throne Ascension LP, the deluxe edition. You can also check it out anywhere music is found. That's iTunes, Amazon, Tidal, Spotify, Pandora, Google Play, however you get your music, just type in the Supreme General and I shall appear. Now with that being said, let's move on to this motherfucking video right here. Now, first off, I want to say congratulations to both Tony Harrison and Jermell Charlo rather. I thought they both put up a good fight, but it's time to have some real talk about this fight right here. You know what I'm saying? Now, as everybody knows, I'm a big fan of the Charlo brothers. I think that they are spectacular fighters. I especially love their grit in which they come forward and will take your fucking soul type shit. That's really my kind of fighter, you know what I'm saying, with that kind of spirit, where they ain't having none of the fuck shit, you know what I'm saying. They coming for your soul and they coming to snatch that motherfucker and they ain't leaving with nothing less. But in this fight, I gotta admit, was truth. And I watched the fight 3 different times, yo. Before I came out to make this video, I wanted to make sure I watched the fight 2-3 more times, get a good gist of what really happened. And I gotta keep it real, man. I feel like there was no robbery. I feel like Tony Harrison edged it 7-5 on my card, and that's on 2 different times scoring the fight, man. Jermell had nice moments in the fight, a lot of nice moments in a couple of rounds. The ones that he took, he dominated them. But outside of that, man, Tony Harrison working that jab and landing that straight 1-2 was money for him. And that counter right hand, he was getting that ass, man. I was really impressed by Tony Harrison. And now don't get me wrong, man. I knew he was a thoroughbred from, the fight with Hurd and everything. But, Hurd got that kind of style where he gonna take 2 to land 1. And when he land his 1, it's lights out, But and I gotta give her maybe a little bit more credit now after seeing this fight, because in order for her to defeat a guy like Harrison and to defeat a guy like Erislandy Lara, you gotta have more than just that come forward bruiser type mentality. It's more like he a black Margarito, in my opinion. Like they do a lot of subtle things in there, even though they have that stalking, take 2 to give 1 type style. It's more than that. It's a lot of subtle shit going on to where it'll be more than that. Like it's more than what meets the eye per se. Like from watching the fight on the outside looking in, it looks one way, but they doing a lot of subtle things in there in order to get their opponent into a position where they can take advantage of them. That's what he did to Tony Harrison late in their fight. Tell him, big boy, you already know. That's my youngin' right there, my son. He had to chime in on this video. But as far as the fight goes, I believe Tony Harrison and that jab really won him the fight, man. Because when there wasn't much action going on, that jab was working. And plus that counter, every time Jermell would come with the higher shots. Like you knew, like, cause it seemed to me like Jermell was loading up on him big time. You know what I'm saying? He was loading up, getting ready to, he wanted to detonate that bomb on his ass. And it seemed like every time he was ready to throw that shot, Tony would catch him with a nice counter right before he was able to throw it. And it would just stop him in his tracks, basically. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like, he was just doing that all night. It was certain rounds where Tony took off and then Charlo would start getting in on him. But from the beginning of the fight, man, Tony Harrison was controlling that motherfucker, man. It was crazy, man. I don't even know. I was speechless. You know what I'm saying? Because on my card, watching it the first time, I had it closer to a draw. But then the second time watching it, it was clear to me that Tony Harrison had won. And the third time, it was like beyond obvious. And I was looking for rounds to shade the Charlo. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, damn, it was heavy in the game, man. I can't knock Charlo because the way that he fights, I enjoy, but also I gotta be consistent, man. I appreciate boxers who use their jab and they use their footwork and they use the, you know, spacing and timing and shit like that to overcome other dudes who have more athletic ability, or, you know, just are stronger physically, and just have that, you know, just that extra shit that you're born with, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know, man. I gotta give Tony a lot of respect for this fight, man. He did damn good, man. Damn good. And I just, especially watching some of his interviews after the motherfucking fight, Tony a real nigga, man. I can't do nothing but respect a real nigga when I see one, man. So salute to Tony Harrison, new world champion, man. It wasn't a robbery. He won the fight on my scorecard, clear 7-5. Jermell definitely deserves a rematch, and I don't know if the rematch will go the same. But I will say this: if Jermell don't start using his jab and sticking to the game plan, then it's gonna go the same way. You know what I'm saying? You keep trying to load up and use that power and everything. That's cool, but the knockout will come. It will come. You don't need to do all that. You don't need to be just looking for one big shot on a guy like Harrison, because it's never gonna come. He gonna always find a way to, you know, jab or counter or do something to disrupt that type of motion. You know what I'm saying? He's not gonna really let you tee off like that. And if you do tee off like that, you run the risk of fucking around looking all sloppy and shit like Chris Eubank Jr. or something. You know what I'm saying? That he have a tendency to do that, get real trigger happy with the heavy shots, and next thing you know, you down by 1,000,000 points in the cards and shit. And plus, also one thing I want to address, after the fight, I heard my man Charlo admit that he gave away a couple of rounds, and that's just one thing I've never been a fan of in any fight whatsoever. You already know the judges could take that shit from you, man. You can't give away shit, period. So this next fight, man, I expect my man Charlo to be a lot more buttoned up. I expect him to use that jab more. I expect him to also, when using the jab, using it to set up other shots, because he could probably tee off on Harrison if he was using the jab to set off on him. And plus, the jab that Charlo used, he used, this is a Jermell thing. Jermell seemed to only use one kind of jab, that just hard stiff jab, and that's good. A stiff jab is really good, but you got to use some other kind of jabs. You got to use some of the blinding jabs, you know what I'm saying, that's going to disrupt his vision, disrupt your opponent's vision maybe. Also the spear jab, coming from like not an uppercut position, but somewhere close to that. You know how a spear jab come from underneath like that. That type of shit would have worked wonders against Harrison in this fight. It would have done a lot to disrupt him. And also, after using the blinding jab and using the other jab, I'm gonna need my man Charlo to start unleashing combinations, and not like the combinations like just 3 or 4 hard shots. No. I'm talking about like the Adrian Broner-esque type combinations where you throw 1 or 2 shots to just kind of like just throw them, and then the 3rd, 4th, 5th shots is the devastating shots. You know what I'm saying? Those are the shots that's when they get home, you know what I'm saying, they're gonna light you up, because the first 2 or 3 shots, anytime you throw a combination, you know that the first 2 or 3 shots might not land, depending on how good of a defensive fighter you're dealing with. And when you're dealing with a guy like Tony Harrison, who knows that you can knock him out, he's gonna be defensively sound. He's gonna be really focused on those kind of shots and not letting them come home on him. So if you was able to cover up those type of shots per se with maybe one or two quick shots that's not necessarily full of power, and then behind those, the ones he don't see coming or can't predict as easily, those are the ones you drop the bomb in. You know what I'm saying? That type of shit would do wonders. The offset what Tony Harrison was doing, because all Tony was doing was jabbing, keeping him at bay, landing the 1-2 where he could, and dropping in combinations where he could, and making sure that he piled up points. Because no matter what a person say, man, I love effective aggression, and I just love aggression, period. But at the same time, if the other guy's jabbing you and you're not doing nothing, he's scoring points. So you could land a big ass bomb towards the end of the fight. I mean, at the end of the round, maybe even 2-3 big bombs. But 3 big bombs is not gonna make up for the fact that this guy landed 20 or 30 jabs on you the whole fucking round, and those built up points. Jabs score points. You know what I'm saying? That's one of them things, man. A lot of my fellow hood brethren type, fuck it. a lot of the niggas that come from the hood that fight, that's boxers, they need to learn that, or not learn, but they need to stay focused on the fact that the jab is the best punch in boxing. You know what I'm saying? All those other heavy, hard shots, they all well and fine when you're working with B-level and below fighters, but when you're working with A-level fighters or even B-plus fighters, you know what I mean, the upper echelon type niggas who could become champions, you can't just worry on, you can't just lean on your power like that. You have to be able to really dominate with that jab, man, because that jab, man, it opens up so much for you. You know what I'm saying? And that's just what I would like to see more of from the Charlo brothers. It's both of them. They can learn a lot from Errol Spence in that sense. Errol Spence worked that jab, and I also believe that if Jermell was using his jab more, he could have got to that body, and if he could have got to that body, he'd have been able to beat Harrison a lot easier, because then you got him worrying about more than just headshots. Basically, especially towards the end of the fight, all Harrison had to look for was headshots. You know what I'm saying? That's all he had to duck from. So, I mean, you know, it's a lot. It's the same thing with Tyson Fury. The same thing happened in his fight against Wilder. If Wilder could have used his jab more and got inside on him, he could have started working that body, and then you wouldn't have seen Tyson making him miss as much as he did. But when Tyson know that 90% of your shots is going to the head, and the ones that do go to the body, he's going to keep you out of range for it, because he has hella long reach. You know what I'm saying? This is the shit that's going to happen. So, once again, I hope my man Charlo learned from this. I'm not sure if that was the plan, but I doubt it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to say he need to drop Derrick James and nothing like that. I don't think that's the case. I like Derrick James as a trainer, and I think that he's doing pretty good with them boys. I mean, with Jermell in particular and Errol. But I just really want to see. I want to see Jermell use a lot more, use that jab a lot more, and just be better, man. Just be better. You know what I mean? Because these type of fights, I mean, this was close. This could have went either way. If they had gave a decision to Jermell, I don't think too many people would have been upset. But the fact that Harrison got it lets me know that Harrison really took it. You know what I'm saying? And that Harrison deserved props for it. You know, he the new world champion at 154, and it really opened up 154 wide open, in my opinion. Wide open. You know, because before we thought it was really just between the Herd and Charlos, but now we know that, I mean, these belts is up for grabs at 154. It's a lot of things that can go right. You know what I'm saying? As far as for some other people, this is a good time for a guy like Kell Brook to challenge a guy like either Tony Harrison or Jaime Munguia, or, you know what I mean, just these kind of guys, get some new blood in here. Let's see these belts move. You know what I'm saying? This is the type of shit I like to see in boxing. Is a great fight. Big shout out to Tony Harrison one more time, new champ, man. Nothing but love. Anybody from D-Town I got love for. You know what I mean? I got a lot of family out in D-Town. So big shout out to, you know what I mean, everybody from Detroit. Shout out Tony Harrison. Shout out Charlo. You will come back. You will be better. You know what I'm saying? You still a cold, bad motherfucker, man. Ain't nothing changed, man. You gotta work that jab a little bit more and understand that the judge is not always gonna be on your side. And with that being said, man, I'm on to the next one. I'm gonna holler at y'all boys later. I'm out. 100.